All right, thank you for staying. This is Daybreak on Trust Television. It's time for us to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak. We begin with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. The lead story talks about, it says, troops nab Boko Haram kingpins in Abuja and Kano. It has the riders that says, tight security at government offices in satellite towns. FCTA orders CCTV in public places. Residents ask government to be proactive. Police launch counter-terrorism exercise. You'd find the details of that on page 4. And then you would also see the pictorial there showing you people living with disabilities during a rally to commemorate the 2022 World International Polio Day, organized by Rotary District in collaboration with the Kaduna Ministry of Health in Kaduna yesterday. So you would find other stories above the lead story. National Assembly can't prosecute corruption cases, says Lawan on page 32. Islamic Development Bank approves 788 billion naira funding for Nigeria on page 22. Rishi Sunak takes over as British Prime Minister today. That's on page 6. And then at a footnote, you'd find produce flood prevention plan in 90 days, Buhari tells minister. And that's on page 6. You would also find other stories there. 3 suspects supplying sexual enhancers, SIM cards to bandits arrested. On page 20, court orders final forfeiture of Diziani's Abuja houses and cars. Akwa Ibom Court, or Appeal Court rather, beg your pardon, Appeal Court reserves ruling on FG's stay of execution. That's on page 12. These are the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
Now let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper leads with a political story. 2023, Wike rejects Atiku. The first rider says, Rivers Governor vows not to campaign for PDP standard bearer. Inaugurates council for Rivers Party candidates. And just by the right-hand side of that, we have Sunak becomes 5th UK Prime Minister in 7 years. And above that, APC tackles PDP chieftain over remarks on Tinubu's action plan. Just above the masthead, EFCC secures final forfeiture of Madueke's Abuja properties. Flooding, Lagos puts Ikoyi, Lekki VI residents on alert. We also have federal government tackles UAE over visa ban. These are the major stories on the Nation newspaper today.
All right, so let's take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. It has, the lead story says, U.S. terror alert. Atiku, Tinubu, Obi demand security beef up, reject campaign suspension. It has the riders that says PDP, Labour Party task security agencies on supporters' protection at rallies. Police issue advisory, ask parties to fortify campaign venues to forestall attacks. We are on top of the situation. DHQ, DSS, no cause for alarm. APC, PCC. You'd also find other stories. The pictorial there basically shows you Diziani's forfeit, Abuja mansions, luxury cars to federal government. So those are pictures of the houses in Abuja. And then at a footnote, you'd find other story that says 10,296 Nigerian doctors practicing in UK, NMA laments. Contraband seeking soldiers kill Ogun businessman, mob lynches officer. Tanker explosion grounds Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, 2 dead. And then above the masthead, floods. Buhari demands action plan. Bielsa gets donations. Nigeria loses 3 million oil barrels monthly, according to the federal government. External debt rises to $40 billion under Buhari. ASU, FG to modify IPPIS in 3 months. These are the stories on the Punch newspaper this morning.
Now let's take a look at this day newspaper. It has a lead story that says, IG, FCT Minister ramp up security in Abuja over terror threat. Launches counter-terrorism operations, simulation exercise. Instructs FCT CP to rejig strategy, puts 36 states on standby. And above that, this is coming from Obaseki, the Edo State Governor, Nigeria will break if APC wins 2023 presidential poll. We also have Buhari hails Rishi Sunak, incoming British Prime Minister. Just above the masthead, NUPRC grants 247 permits for exports of 480 million barrels of crude oil orders. Also, Census 2023, Buhari's best legacy for national planning development. These are the major stories on the This Day newspaper.
All right, so let's take a look at the Daily Independent this morning. The lead story there is political. It says, PDP crisis, Governor Wike rules out reconciliation with Atiku. The writer says vows to deliver Rivers presidential votes to opposition. Says Atiku Abubakar doesn't need him in his campaign. You would find other stories below the pictorial there. Police assure Nigerians amid terror attack threat in Abuja. We called off 8-month-old strike on trust. That's ASU there. Kanu's release will bring peace, not unrests. Ezekome falls FG's claim. You'd also would find other stories beside the pictorial there. It says Buhari asked minister to produce master plan against floods in 90 days. Court orders final forfeiture of Diziani's Abuja assets. How I will tackle flooding if elected president by Peter Obi. Nigeria will collapse if Tinubu is elected president, Obaseki warns. So these are the stories on the front page of Daily Independent. All right, so we'll take a look at This Day. Leadership newspaper this morning. All right, so the lead story there on a Leadership newspaper says, finally, Atiku, Wike reconciliation collapses. You'd also would find both the masthead there. Excitement in India as Rishi Sunak becomes UK Prime Minister. Court orders final forfeiture of Diziani's Abuja homes and cars. And then just below the masthead there, 1/3 of global economy in recession, according to the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele. And then you have other stories. Kanu seeking stay of execution. FG declares IPOP leader threat to national security. Misinformation fueling conflicts, insecurity, distrust in Nigeria, says President Muhammadu Buhari. These are some of the front stories on the front pages this morning. We will take perspectives, but let's have a look at the editorial on Daily Trust this morning. The editorial this morning is about the National Honors Awards. It says the National Honors Awards should be honorable. So we'll take a look at that as well in the course of our review. So that's that. Let's get perspectives. We have in the studio Salmon Salami, who is going to be giving us perspectives on this. He is the director, media director, Justice Pen Alliance. He'll give us perspectives. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Ivan, good morning. Stella, I'm sorry because they always say ladies first. Good morning.
Good morning.
You are welcome back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, now let's begin with the sort of the big issue of the day, talking about security, which is going to form a major part of our discussion this morning on the program. But just to have a slight look at it as we review the papers. I mean, it's virtually on all the papers this morning. The troops arrested Boko Haram kingpins in Abuja and Kano. And this is coming just think less than about 24 hours or so, or 48 hours after the United States alert that was issued that we all saw yesterday. So what does this, indicate, as it is?
Mixed bag. Mixed bag in the sense that do we need a U.S. alert to know that we should do the needful? We should be proactive, and we should take the battle to the doorstep of those who do not want Nigerians to sleep with their two eyes closed. But even at that, let's all still give kudos to the government. It is better late than never.
Indeed. And the writers are suggesting some of the steps that are being taken right now to be proactive. So it says tight security at government offices in satellite towns. So you are talking about, say, the Abajis, the Gwagwaladas, and the other area councils of the FCT. And then you have residents ask government to be proactive, which is, as you are also saying now, FCTA orders CCTV in public places. Police launch counterterrorism exercise. So all of this happening, after this alert that we're receiving. The issue with the CCTV, though, I thought that this is something that we've had in place, or we've talked about, over and over, as to issues about contracting them and all that. And it's now that we are now seeing orders.
Oh my God. However, honestly, there is the need to put government on its toes. By now, the issue of CCTV should have been a thing of the past. We did a story on that the other time, the CCTV scandal. You could see all these relics of it on the road. They are not working.
That was what I was going to ask. I mean,
They
the
are not
CCTV, they were installed years ago. Until date, they do not work. So when I saw this order, I'm wondering, are they going to reactivate those old ones, or are they going to now begin to install new ones? Because monies were spent on those ones that never worked. We in
Verbatim then did a fantastic cover on this. We still have it. It was the usual thing, corruption in high places. And this cannot continue. For example, there is need for CCTV in petrol stations, CCTV in hotels, and other sensitive places. The era of seeing security is gone. You feel security. You don't see security. Have you ever seen an American president with bodyguards? People following him as if, but if they burn anybody well, move close to him.
In any case, all these things, tight security at government offices, other CCTV, all of this, should they even be happening now? Aren't these things that ought to have been on as far as the country is fighting insecurity? And with the offensive in some of the states in the Northwest and in the Northeast, and with all the reports that some of these people were moving away from those areas, and I mean, nobody was to say where they were going to. So shouldn't all of this have been on before now?
Ordinarily, we should not be talking of CCTV and other technological-driven security devices. These are things that ordinarily should have been in place. But good morning. Thank God that at least we have woken up.
All right. Well, let's take a look at other stories. Well, the president is given a directive to produce a flood prevention plan in 90 days, a directive to the minister. I mean, a lot of people will say, well, I thought that if we're talking about prevention, it should be for something that hasn't happened yet. But here we are. I mean, we are talking about, is it medicine after, what do they call it now?
Prevention, as I always say, is not only better than cure, it is cheaper. It is far, far, far better that we prevent things from happening than allowing it to happen and now start looking for solutions. It is still part of unpreparedness. And I think the future belongs to those who could foresee what will happen before it happens, than to allow things to happen and now to start our usual...
Mr. Salmon, it's a good thing that, maybe it's a good thing that they want to prepare. But a lot of Nigerians are saying that the victims of this flood, those are the priorities right now. A lot of them have not received any response from anywhere. If you listen to their stories on TV, on the papers, it's tales of agony. Many of them do not have where to sleep. All they have been taken away by the floods. So, and how do you rate the response to these victims at this point? Because a lot of people are saying that is the priority at this point.
Well, since it has happened, I think that the government should take very, very good care of the victims. And that's why NEMA is there. Do you know that we have the variant of NEMA in states? State Emergency Management, this, or SEMA. State Emergency Management, this. State Emergency Management, that. And up till now, the impact is not felt on the victims. I think there is the need for the government to value the lives of Nigerians, especially the downtrodden ones and the victims of natural and unnatural disasters. As it is today, there is the need for NEMA to do more. And funny enough, do you know that more money is voted for NEMA than even NIMET and all those other agencies that could foretell what will happen? Meaning that we are more interested in giving succor to the victims rather than preventing that thing from even happening at all.
I mean, I'm just thinking about this, and I want to ask that: is there anything different, or is there any better prevention plan that would have been presented to the president aside revisiting the contracts of building the buffer dams and the dredging of the rivers, the major rivers? Is there any other preventive measure that should have been considered than another presentation? Because I believe that all these things have been done before. I mean, we've had this similar incident in 2012, and not only in 2012, even preceding that, there have been several flood incidents. I mean, it goes back decades ago. So this is not new to us. And I believe that somewhere in the office of Mr. President, or somewhere in the ministries, or in the office of the Ministers of Water Resources, or there's a document that actually spells out everything that has transpired and that recommends what should be done. So it's not new to us. But this is sounding like it's something that is new, and somehow we do not know the way around it. We do not know how to go about it.
Produce a document in 90 days. And
in any case, just a follow-up before you comment. These 90 days, when I look at it, we're looking at November, December, January, campaigns, So I'm wondering, are they actually going to be able to do that? Because a lot of politicians are just looking one way right now, the campaigns.
I have tremendous respect for my president. And I want to believe my president means very, very well for this country. But giving directive that produce this in 90 days to ministers, can we reinvent the wheel? What is needed is already there, gathering dust. All we need is just bring it up and implement it. And like you rightly pointed out, attention by that time must have shifted to what they know how to do best, politics. Well, at the end of the day, it is still the same Baba's chair, going around circles without achieving much. But I want to believe Mr. President means well for this country.
All right, let's take a look at other stories this morning. The one about the final forfeiture of the Zionist loot, so to say. The Abuja houses and cars of the former minister has now finally been forfeited to the federal government as ordered by the court. What's your take on this?
I was thinking that you even talk about the national honors. Final forfeiture of ill-gotten proceeds of fraud. Well, it boils down to what I would rather call, what are our values? what are the values of this country? What exactly do we consider as national interest? Whether you like it or not, what the youth want to hear now that is that it don't hammer. Any society where dog kills lion is not a safe society. Any society that does not respect competence, intellectualism, and all those enduring values may not move forward. There must be role models. Real role models that you look up to, honorable people. Money can never be everything.
But do you think that this kind of forfeitures would prevent others from wanting to amass all of these things?
No, it won't. I won't waste time to answer you. It won't.
So you don't think that some people may say, okay, there's no need for me to amass this thing because the courts will tell me to forfeit them?
No, say that. In fact, what is forfeited? Do you know what percentage of what is stolen that is forfeited? There's another one they discuss. They say plea bargain. You have stolen this much, bring this much. Keep the remaining. Does it make sense to anybody? Does it make sense?
So let's talk about the monetary value of some of these assets. Are they things that will add, usually we'll see that some of these properties may depreciate in value, looking at the time that it has taken to secure this judgment and all of that. And for the most part, I believe that the property has been abandoned for some time, for the duration of the time that the matter was in court and all that. So in terms of financial or monetary value, is this something that could add to the coffers?
Much as that is important, what I'm more concerned about is what is being done with the money. The Abacha loot, every day we have gotten something, we have gotten so much $1 million, we have gotten, what has been done with the money? Let us engage the government. There is a need for the government to come clean. Tell Nigerians that the so money we have gotten, we have done so much with it. Let's be specific. Over the years, we have been hearing so country released so money.
So
purportedly stolen by Abacha.
For the Abacha loot, we've heard that money is part of that money that have been channeled into the social investment programs, that the federal government is funding, which have got quite a lot of money actually.
Let's be specific. So amount of Abacha loot is spent on so thing. So much of other recovered loots. We need to be specific, not just a general statement that is being spent on social investment. Fine. Even at that, those who benefited from it, let us know that it is high time we engage the government. If we don't do this, we won't move forward. Let there be accountability.
All right. And now I think we can take a look at the Daily Trust editorial for today, which talks about the national honors. Can we just have it on the screen, please? The Daily Trust editorial today is talking about the honors, and it says national honors awards should be honorable. The editorial commended the government for recognizing certain people like the sheikh, the cleric in Jos, who saved some Christians during an attack, and the cleaner who found money and returned it, and the policeman also. But then it went further to talk about the fact that some people are still in office and they were recognized. And the editorial is saying, usually it is after you have left office and then whatever you did is put on a scale, and it is based on that you are rated and given an award. What do you say to that?
Honestly, I will spend hours, if given the opportunity, to praise Media Trust Group. They are doing what true, objective, and journalism is all about. Calling government to account. Honors ordinarily should be given to the honorables, to those who are honorable. Because you are holding up some people as a mirror for others to see and emulate. People being held should be those who must have genuinely contributed to the development of either their community or the nation. The media thus has a very genuine equivalent, the unsung heroes. Honor should not be given to those we know that have stolen money.
Well, sometimes you're not too sure about that.
Oh, no. You see, what is honorable is visible to the blind. Why did you mention the cleric? Why? Did anybody lecture you on whether the cleric is deserving of honor or not? What of the cleaner? There are some things that they are self-evident truths that you don't need anybody to tell you. We will mention names. There are quite many on that list that do not deserve it. But at least, given the few people that got it, I would still say that there's hope for this country, but on a very, very serious note. And I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility. National honors should be what it means for those who are honorable. Those who have really excelled and those who have rendered selfless service in such a manner that others will say, well, they are watching me. I will do what is right. Because at the end of the day, I may get national honor. I want a situation whereby what every Nigerian will strive for is to get national honor. See what Wole Soyinka did about our national honor. He broke it. He said he doesn't want it. Again, that is been given to those who do not.
All right. Do you think that we have managed these national honors and awards in such a way that it will inspire respect from the younger generation? So, for instance, we have a couple of young persons who also received that award. Some for their craft, for being creatives that have excelled in their fields of endeavor and have made the country proud in their various endeavors and all of that. But it seems like we have a generation that do not really, consider the national honors something worthy of, respect and all that. Well, what do you make of this?
Like I said,
look at the controversy that trailed one of the musicians, Tenny, who also was awarded with that honor and all that.
And another person a man who was dressed like a woman.
Exactly. So what do you make of this? Is there a disconnect?
A big one. You see, when these things become a charade, you now discover that it is not valued again. Let me tell you this. Honestly, there is the need for the institution of national honor, because it is something that should ordinarily inspire the citizens. But a situation whereby the known thieves and those that people know that they do not deserve it, gets it on a platter of gold, then it calls to question the real basis for that. Look at President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Baba Buhari, by all standard, is imbued with integrity. He won the election not because he has money. He won the election because Nigerians consider him as a man that has integrity. So it only means integrity in itself and by itself is social capital.
So, but how do we change that? How do we get more young people? I still go back to that. How do we get more young people respect the national honors? How do we get them to actually look at it as something that is is sort of an achievement, is a lifetime achievement, is a big deal?
It is
because from where I stand right now and from what I observe on social media and everything, the way people talk about the national honors and all that, it doesn't seem so. It doesn't seem like it's something that it's held in high esteem the way it used to be maybe some decades ago.
Let me tell you something. Do you know that a time was when after attending NIPS, they will give you MNI. And you'll be so proud of that MNI as if it's a ticket to heaven. But the values have changed in such a manner that the youths don't even see any relevance for that. Rather, what they are interested in is a don't hammer.
Okay, one recommendation.
But then,
one recommendation in the Daily Trust editorial is that, you know, some people are given awards, and later on, some of them are found to have done some things that are not very good. And so the editorial is saying maybe they should be stripped of that honor, so that, for instance, you're not standing in court for, you're not sentenced for corruption, and you're still going with and all of that. So what do you think? Do you think that if that is done, if people know that they can be withdrawn, that honor can be withdrawn, do you think that it will inspire others?
No, it is much more than withdrawing it. You know that if you are given, when you graduate from the university, you can still hold your certificate because you have been found worthy in character and learning. And the day you are not found worthy again in character and learning, your certificate can be withdrawn. It's not eternal. Now, there should be another institution, another federal government institution and of government that will monitor those who have been given national honor, that they still stay on that part of value. If they know that you have gotten it, and it's for life. But if you know that even though you have gotten it, you can only keep it if you remain on the path of honor, then at least you'll be on your toes.
Anyway, that will be a discussion for another day, because again, I'm wondering, why would you want to keep something? I mean, you have to cherish something for you to want to keep it, for you to want to maintain, you know, and stay in line and make sure that you don't do anything disgraceful, isn't it? But as it is, because of our time, we will have to.
Well, you know, Ayuba, Nigerians like titles. So yeah. if that is there, then maybe, you know, it may check them. Don't you think?
Nobody will want to be dishonored.
All right.
Whether openly.
All right. Thank you so much. We have to end it here at this point. Thank you so much for joining the Daybreak Show and sharing your perspectives. We appreciate it. Our guest reviewer is Salmon Salami. He's a media director, Justice Pen Alliance. Thank you so much for joining the Daybreak.
It's always a delight.